You're just getting started, right?
Okay.
So today I just want to first let me ask the question: how is everyone doing here?
Good. Woo!
Hey, you.
Hmm?
Something
How's
wrong?
everyone doing today? Yeah, I'm feeling better today. So today, um, I was sort of inspired today to talk about the evil, which is ironic enough. And, you know, I don't want to jump into things I don't actually understand, but has anyone heard about what's happening in Israel right now? Hmm? Terrorist attacks. Uh, it's Israel has declared war because there were terrorist attacks that killed a lot of people, and there were things that were done to people that should never happen to anyone. And, you know, it was just pure evil. Children killed, women were raped, innocent people died. And so today I feel inspired to ask the question of what do you all think about the reality of evil?
Hare Krishna. As we discussed the other day, evil is absence of God, nothing more. Because we want to put ourselves in the center, and we want to be enjoyers of everything and proprietors of everything. So we hate those who we think that they might go against our desires, against our wishes, against our what we consider our existence. It is explained in Shastra, in the Vedas, that there are 5 stages of material existence. And the first is avidya. Avidya means ignorance. Vidya means knowledge, and avidya is ignorance. And ignorance is basically about who we really are. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, this one book of wisdom, how to connect with the Lord, it is explained, Jivara Svarupa Hoy Krishna Nitya Das, that we are eternal servants of the Lord. And that we are eternal living entity. Najayati mriyati vakadarshi nayam bhutva bhavita vanabuya arjo nityakshoshatayam parano nahanati hanimani shariri. The living entity is not born, and it doesn't die. It's eternal, primeval, and ever existing. And even when the body dies, the soul doesn't. So we are eternal living entity, eternally part and parcel of the Lord. And we are eternally His servants. But because of this influence of avidya, of ignorance, we identify with our material body. And not just material body, also with all existence around our material body. Our culture, our language, our nation, our sex, everything. and those who we think that they support our existence, we like them, we love them, we so-called love. And because of this avidya, so we identify as a material living entity, as living entity in this world. And because of this, we develop this raga. This identification is called asmita. Because of avidya, of ignorance, comes asmita. We identify with different positions we have in the material world. I'm a man, I'm a woman, I'm black, I'm white, I'm young, I'm old, I'm human being, I'm a dog or a cat, or anything like this. I'm a Christian, I'm Hindu, I'm Hare Krishna. These are all material designations that have nothing to do with our real identification, which is Jivara Swarupa, or Krishna Nitya Das, that we are eternal servants of the Lord, eternal living entities. So because of this asmita, there is raga. Raga means attachment, love, for those who support our illusory identification. So we love them because they support our existence, false existence. And because of this, raga is only one face of the coin. The other is dvesha, and dvesha means hatred. We hate all who we think that they can jeopardize our existence. And that means, of course, not just our life itself, but, as I said, our culture, our language, our nation, our religion, our this and our that. And then, of course, follows abhinivesha, and this is complete absorption in material existence and fear of losing our existence. And I mentioned this dvesha is hatred for everyone who we think that might be against our existence. So these terrorist attacks and other violence in this world is caused only by dvesha, hatred for those who we think that are against our existence. Again, you understand?
Yeah.
Or this is one point of view for those who are against our existence, or we want to exploit. This is another point. Exploit for the purpose of my existence. And therefore we kill animals, we enslave other people. There is still going on this enslavement in different form than it used to be, but people in modern jobs, they are just enslaved. And these gadgets we have, phones, this social media and so on, this is just meant for enslavement, nothing else. So people are slaves for all history and even now. So we should know that all this hatred and violence in this world and cruelty stems all from this avidya, for ignorance of who we really are. And because of this, of course, is this raga and dvesha, so-called love and hatred.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So, I think over there you touched on many points, and some of them were, there are two sides of a coin, and inevitably what will happen, inevitably, if you feel love, you can also feel hate.
Yes.
Because,
In the conditioned state. In the
yes,
conditioned state. In liberated state, not. Then it's absolute love.
yeah.
In conditional state, because we... Hare Krishna. In conditional state, we love those, I said, who support our existence. And we inevitably hate those who are somehow or other against, we think that they are against our existence.
And,
or endanger our existence.
and so, what would you say is the process of breaking? Because I think that hate is just, it's when love is broken.
Yes.
It's just the other flip of the coin. You hate someone as much as you love the thing that they tried to endanger.
Yes.
And it's hard to see how we can ever break something. Like, for example, in what's going on right now, what will inevitably happen is that due to this attack, hatred is going to
Cause new hatred, of course.
Yeah, hatred is going to cause new hatred.
Yes.
Which is going to
Cause new hatred again.
yes, which is going to cause new hatred again, and it's going to be a battle really about. So there's going to probably be a war, and what will happen is that people will fight and people will die.
Yes.
And they will die to protect what they think
What is their existence.
That is their existence. And then even during that war, even at the time of where people must now understand that people need peace, they will also be thinking of all the lives that were lost due to
their enemies.
Their enemies and the war itself.
Yes.
As if to ask the question, what were all these people fighting for then?
Yes, because of this misidentification. So the solution is not of this world. You should understand. If we seek solution in this world, then we'll just go on these vicious circles all the time. Mm-hmm. We cannot go out because we want to protect our existence for all cost. Mm-hmm. And of course there are other people who are against our existence. We think that they are against our existence because we identify with something that we are not. Mm-hmm. And they also identify with something they're not. So this is the fight of illusion against illusion.
Of illusion against illusion.
Yeah. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
It's one deluded person against another deluded person.
Well,
and the only solution is God consciousness, that we are all servants of God, that we are all God's children, and that we are all spiritually equal. And the only solution is love for God. If we love God, we will love every living entity. Every living entity, because every living entity is the son or the daughter of God. So it's our brother and sister. And it's called in Srimad Bhagavatam, this is the beautiful book of of the Lord. If we consider ourselves material living entity, so we have this false identification. It's called pritak bhava. Pritak means separate, and bhava means existence. So we put ourselves away from the Lord. And because of this, we also have, we see other living entities as different from the Lord, as different from us. And they are potentially endanger our existence. So there is hatred and violence on every level of existence, of material existence. Material existence means existence without God. If we are servants of the Lord, then we are liberated. Then we are not in material world anymore. Even if we live here, we are living in the spiritual world. And this is the purpose of this movement. This is not a religious movement. One should not think that this is a religion. This is Sanatana-dharma. Sanatana means eternal, and dharma means nature of existence. So, regardless of religion, all can follow these principles. They don't need to sing Hare Krishna, but they should follow these principles. How to always be conscious of God, always conscious of our eternal position, that we are servants of the Lord, and that all living entities are of the same spiritual nature, and that we are, in fact, because we are servants of the Lord, and because living entities are parts and parcels of the Lord, we are servants of every living entity. Okay. But material existence is just the opposite. I am the Lord, and everyone should be my servant. This is the consciousness of material world. So, because others, they don't recognize our lordship, there is fight. And there is fight on every level. There is fight of children against their parents, wife against husband, husband against wife, children, brothers, between brothers and sisters. Even if you take a drop of blood from your body, you will see there is a fight going on. From one, these blood corpuscles against another.
Yes.
There is fight on every level of existence in material world. So, if you keep material consciousness, you cannot escape this violence. It is explained in Srimad Bhagavatam. Ahastani sahastanam apadani chatushpadam falguni tatra mahatam jivo jivasya jivanam. So that those without hands are prey of those with hands. Those without legs are prey of those who have legs. And every living entity is prey to another living entity in this material world. So this material world is the world of violence and suffering. And wise men want to bring their consciousness on the transcendental platform and go beyond this world, beyond this duality of so-called love and hatred, because this is the world of duality. Suffering and pleasure, hate, so-called love, honor, dishonor, disease, health,
treachery,
etc.
Yeah.
So and young age, old age, life, death, countless dualities, because this is the world of dualities. But we should come to the transcendental platform beyond all these dualities and realize that all living entities are our brothers and sisters, and that we should serve every living entity.
Yeah.
And this is possible. You shouldn't think that this is not possible, that this is impractical. Because people who don't know this philosophy, they might think that this is impractical, this is some utopia.
Utopia.
You have heard about this before?
No, it's just the ideas that you're setting out there are exactly the ideas which I found to be the most interesting. So yesterday I talked about how what I thought was the fundamental duality was between God and the borders of chaos instead of good and evil. And there's something interesting that I saw while I was reading the first book of Genesis. God creates light and darkness, heaven and earth. The lights for the day and the lights for the night. So he divides one thing into all these separate things in the form of dualities. And so the entire creation, even man and woman, are dualities. But here's the cool part about this is that it's also expressing that those dualities are part of one and the same thing. So here's something interesting. When the first the creation of man and woman. Oh, sorry.
The waters of chaos.
Yeah, the creation of man and woman,
Yes.
right, is from Adam. So there are two stories, and they're
Yes.
from Adam, and they're actually two stories, and they're saying that the first Adam that was created was sort of hermaphroditic, and then he was divided into man and woman. What I sort of realized as I was reading is that the structure that's being it's sort of how you divide things. You divide things in terms of a frame, right? Everything is divided in terms of a frame. So if you have 20 and you're dividing it by 2, and you say it's 10, what you're saying is that 20 is 10 twos. So you're dividing things in terms of a frame. And so the sort of frame that's being dealt out in Genesis is the frame in which God has divided the world. And
Yes. And what is the question?
and so I'm sort of detailing out this idea so I can get to the question.
Okay.
And so what I realized is that in the sentence, there's a sentence that says, while God was splitting Adam into Adam and Eve, and says, this is why a man shall leave his home to be with his wife. And it's basically saying that it's because man and woman are part of the same coin, that they should all be together, that they are co-equal parts, that they are co-equal parts in a unity. So you might ask the question, what should be in charge in the relationship? And the answer is the relationship should be in charge, not any specific person or thing, but the relationship. You should do things because it's good for the relationship. Long term. So I was seeing a parallel to that while you were describing that, between the fact that you're saying that we're sort of all equal and slaves to God is, and the part where you're saying that these sort of identities and identifications are just false, are sort of false, and are thinking in terms of our own existence, where we love those who support it, hate those who don't. And so I was asking that, how do you think we can sort of use that notion of the fact that we're actually all, what can I say?
Different.
Different, yes, equal parts of the same circle or something like that, to solve problems that are practical, like the ones that are happening right now between the Israelites and the Palestinians.
Yes, this is not a problem of just Israelis and Palestinians.
Yeah.
This is problems in, as I said, on all levels of existence. Yes, what you're saying is true. In this existence, we are all different. And in fact, God created this diversity. And diversity, of course, can be the source of pleasure and joy. And it is. And there is also spiritual diversity. It's not just material diversity. Material diversity is because of spiritual diversity. So, in order to live happily in this world, we should follow the Lord's tenets, commandments. Understand? But all the world discard Lord's commandments, and they follow their own whims and laws, their own laws. But their laws are faulty, and the people are not taught to live by the God's laws. You understand? They are not taught who they really are.
Yeah.
So there is no subject matter on existence of the soul in our education system. Nowhere in this world. South Africa is not an exemption. And so people don't know who they are, and they have this misidentification from time immemorial. And therefore God's laws are written in different scriptures, also in Bible, also in the Vedas, and it's of course one aspect, of course, is etiquette, how to deal with other people in different situations and so on. But basically we should primarily understand that we are Lord's servants. These God commandments and laws are especially for those who don't understand that they're Lord's servants. When we come to this spiritual level, then we act naturally as servant of every living entity. But these are rare. In Bhagavad-Gita in 7th chapter it is said, Manushyanam sahasrashu kaschit yatati sidaye. Yatatam api sidanam kashrimam veti tatvataha. That among thousands and thousands of men, one may, not certainly, one may endeavor for perfection. And among those who have attained perfection, there only may be someone who knows me in truth. So it's extremely rare, because this is the world of deluded souls. Because we have material world and is reserved for deluded souls. It's a prison of existence, or madhouse, we can say. Madhouse, because everyone has false identification. And so one who identifies with something that he's not, he's mad, he's crazy. So he's put in the madhouse, into an asylum. So we are all in such madhouse. But if we get to this understanding that we are spiritual entities, spirit souls, and that we are all servants of the Lord, then we are free. We are out of this world. Even if we live in this world, as Jesus said, we are not of this world. We are in this world, but not of this world. Yes. So we should come to this platform, and this is achieved by this process of chanting the Lord's holy name, which cleanses these misidentifications from our heart, and we connect with the Lord. So we will continue with your questions, but we'll now continue with others. Please be careful not to press the button at the side. Don't press the button.
Just hold it here.
You just hold it. It doesn't matter how you turn it. Just hold it.
Okay. So right now you just said even one may attain perfection, but he cannot understand God.
Sorry, what was the question?
You said that one may attain perfection,
but not God.
but
Know
not-
the God in truth. Truth.
What does that mean?
That means that we don't identify as material body and mind. So we know that we are spiritual entity, but we don't know God. You understand?
I see.
This is easily understood that we are not this body, because as even scientists explain that every 7 years we completely change all our cells of our body. So we have changed our body completely for many times, even in this lifetime. And not just gross body changed, also our subtle body changed, our mental body changed. Because when we were born, we had completely other desires than now, completely other worldview than now. So both on gross and subtle level, we are completely different living entities. But we know that we are the same. That we are, because we are spirit souls. We are not this body, we are spirit souls. But as long we identify with this body, we continue material existence. Even when we die, we acquire new body, material body, because we identify with material existence. So it is explained in 8th chapter of Bhagavad-gita, Yam yam vapi smaram bhavanti ajanti ante kalevaram tam tam aveti kantaya sadatat bhavat bhavata. Whatever state of existence we have at the time of death in our mind, that state of existence will achieve. So there is no miracle at the time of death. No miracle. If we live material life, ordinary materialistic life, we will just continue ordinary materialistic life after death. If we are full of hatred, we will be full of hatred in the next life. And will be put in such environment that are full of hatred. So this is of course hell. It doesn't mean hell with, I don't know, devils running around, but hellish existence for this you mentioned in Israel is now hell, hellish condition.
I see.
And if we live in heaven now with our consciousness, we'll just continue heavenly existence after death. And if we have spiritual existence now, we will continue spiritual existence after death. So it's extremely important what kind of mentality you develop. So our movement is movement for Krishna consciousness. It's about consciousness, not about rituals. It's not about religion. It's about your consciousness. And this is most important, because our consciousness will determine our destiny, not our rituals. Our rituals without consciousness are empty. It's just if you would like to, if you send a love letter to your loved one, to your girlfriend, and it's empty envelope. This is ritual without consciousness. It's offensive. If your girlfriend would get a letter from you, and she would be excited, and she would open it, it would be empty. It's offensive. Yeah. Yes, it's offensive. So we should develop consciousness that we are Lord's eternal servants, and therefore servants of every living entity. Yes. And then we can realize the Lord. Not that just we are not this body. This is very simple to understand if we have some brain substance. If we don't, then animals cannot understand this, that they're not this body. So if we have an animalistic consciousness, we cannot understand. I remember one devotee in Slovenia was explaining their parents, because they were two sisters, devotees. They were explaining their parents, "You're not this body." And then the father asked, "If I'm not this body, which body I am?" Yes. So we shouldn't have such mentality. We should have human intelligence. And human intelligence means inquiring about absolute truth. Jivara Swarupahoy Krishna Nitya Das, that we are eternal servants. And it is explained, Jivasya Tattva Jigyasa, that we live just for inquiry about absolute truth. Atato Brahma Jigyasa. There are different statements that support the same message, that we should inquire. Atato Brahma Jigyasa means that now it's the time for inquiry about absolute truth. Now, not tomorrow. Now. That means all the time. And Jivasya Tattva Jigyasa means that we live for inquiry about absolute truth. And then it's also another verse in Srimad Bhagavatam. How's going on? Itvac eva jigyasa tatva jigyasu atmana anvaya vyatirikabhyam yat syat sarvatra sarvada. That we should inquire about absolute truth in all circumstances, at all times, and directly and indirectly. So we should take this very seriously. And this is about consciousness. It's not about ritual. It's not about some culture even. It's about consciousness, development of consciousness. It's Krishna consciousness. Krishna means absolute, all-attractive personality of Godhead.
So to sum everything you just said, so it is easy to know that we are not the body. So what we must always know is that we are the servant of the Lord.
Yes.
That is the supreme absolute truth.
Sorry?
That is the supreme absolute truth, that we are the servant of the Lord.
Yes, yes. And that doesn't mean that we are this body or that body, just servants, just servants. But of course we have this body because we are put in this situation because of our previous activities. So we accept our present situation. Understand? You should accept your role, but you shouldn't identify with it. You understand? So if you are a father, for example, you should accept the role of a father, and you should take care of your children. But you shouldn't identify, yes, I'm father, I'm a man and African or whatever. This is false identification. But you should nevertheless do your duty in your role as a father. You understand? It's simple.
Can you repeat it?
Sorry?
Can you repeat it? What you've just
So you should do your duty according to your position. You're, for example, a student. So your duty is to study and to spread Krishna consciousness as far and wide as you can with your abilities. Because you study, you get some abilities, you get some position in this world, and so your duty is, of course, to propagate Krishna consciousness with your intelligence and position in whatever way you can. And if you are a father, you should take care of your family. If you are a mother, you should also take care of your family. And if you are a teacher, you should teach. So you play the role in which you are put, but always as a servant of Krishna. You don't identify with material circumstances, but you do your duty according to your material circumstances. Is this clear?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Don't be afraid, don't be shy. Okay, he's getting a question.
Before, I just want to say, because it's 7:30, the last bus, their shuttle is at 8:30. So, and we must also still just take Prashadam. So, yeah, so we can do Isaiah's question.
No, I think-
I'm not saying don't take a question. I'm just saying just do your question, Nikana's question, and then we can take Prashadam.
Okay.
Because I don't want them to miss the bus. It's the last bus.
Okay.
Yeah, and we
okay.
want to talk to each other.
Please.
Yeah. So,
Now it's 7:25.
We can also do questions while we're taking Prashadam.
yeah.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Please ask the question.
So I'm thinking about how to word it. Yeah, so, but it's a straightforward question.
Yes, please.
Yeah, so why are you convinced that this is the absolute truth?
I have my mic here. Because it's logical. And because I believe.
You believe.
Yes. And in fact, people think, yes, you're a believer, but we are all believers. Human beings are the beings of faith from the beginning of life. If you say a child, if you'll be good, you'll get a candy. He believes that he'll get a candy, and he tries really hard to be good. And if he's good and he receives the candy, he's happy. His faith is confirmed. And if you go to the bus in which it states Johannesburg, and you'll be taken to Cape Town, you'll be furious because your faith will be betrayed. Isn't it? And you're students, I believe. So, I believe.
We betrayed your faith. No, we're not. We're professors.
So, you know, from our earliest school days, from primary school on, whatever we were taught, we just took it as they say, as they said. We believed what we were taught, because we didn't do scientific research of everything we were taught. So we took it blindly, in fact. And when I started to learn English in school, for a few days, not for a long time, but for a few days, I had this doubt: if are these words really true, or just made up?
You really thought that?
Yes. But
You're a healthy skeptic.
yes. But of course, then I believed, and I took it as if they are true. And now my faith is reconfirmed because I can communicate in this language. So we should understand that we are all beings of faith, but we should not have blind faith. The Vedas, for example, don't support blind faith. They, as I explained, they demand this inquiry. And we have, in the Vedas, there are three, how it's called, checkpoints, what is true and what is not. And this is called Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. Guru is spiritual teacher, and Sadhu is a saint from the past or from present, whoever, who is connected with absolute truth. And Shastra means the Holy Scriptures. So these three are checkpoints if something is true or not. And we should, of course, study ourselves and try to understand. And it's logical. Okay. You have a question?
Oh, yes. Hare Krishna. I do understand that we are spiritual beings.
Can you close the door, please?
I do understand and I believe that we are spiritual beings. I am not this body. I also understand that whatever activities I am engaged in now are going to foretell what my future is going to be. But how do I then confirm my past life? Because I am not aware of my past life. I'm not aware that I had been a soul and this is what was happening before. I can only tell by the way my life is now that probably this is what was happening in the past of my soul. How do we confirm the past of our souls?
By our present.
Is that because I know that, is that the only way? So we just need to believe.
We should just need to live. To live, you understand? Because the past doesn't exist. This is illusion. And the future also doesn't exist. It's illusion. What exists is just the present. Present is reality, not the past. There was never the time that the past was true. Only the present was true.
But why is the past affecting the way I'm living now?
Yes, it affects your consciousness, affects especially. The state of consciousness affects your life now.
Okay, that I get.
If your consciousness is transcendental, then your life
It
will
won't
be
be
transcendental now.
Okay.
But if your consciousness is conditioned, then your life will be affected now.
Okay.
You understand? It's true that our consciousness in the past affected our life circumstances and also our state of consciousness now. But this is not really important to know every detail. It's beneficial for us to forget. If we wouldn't forget, we'll become completely crazy.
Yeah.
So it's beneficial for us to forget, and we just take it humbly.
Yeah,
We know the law that if we do something that will return to us,
Karma.
of the law of karma. So our present situation is because of our deeds in the past. So we should know this, and we should know also how to go beyond karmic reactions, and this is by service of the Lord, and absorb our thoughts in the Lord's service, with love, of course, and then everything will be perfect, regardless of our situation. We may live in hellish condition, but it's said, Narayana parak sarve nakutasthana bibhyati, svarga pavarga narakeshva pitulyartha darshana. And that means that the devotees of the Lord, they don't care if they live in hell or in heaven or even spiritual world, or if they are liberated, because they are always completely blissful in the service of the Lord. So we should become servants of the servants. Yes, this is the most blissful position, servants of the servants. If you understand this deeply, then we'll be always blissful, and we will not identify with our circumstances. We will not identify as a man or a woman, or black or white, young or old, or anything like this. We'll just know, I'm put in this condition by Lord's mercy, because it's the best position for me to approach the Lord. You understand?
Yes.
It's the best possible position that I turn to the Lord. So this is great mercy of the Lord. Extreme mercy of the Lord that I'm here now in this predicament. in this difficult situation.
And I have to make a choice.
Yes, but we won't have this consciousness if we don't associate with devotees. Because it's difficult to acquire this type of consciousness by our own. We should associate with those who have this type of consciousness and chant the holy name. Without chanting of the Lord's holy names, it's impossible to achieve anything in this world. Anything. Yes. Hare Krishna. So devote yourself to chanting. If you want to bring your consciousness to a transcendental platform, just chant. Just chant. Especially in the morning. That you have your time to chant. If you don't have your time, that you don't bothered by your duties and other people, then you cannot connect with the Lord. So you should have quality time for chanting and put away your phone, everything that can disturb you, and just chant. Yes. Hare Krishna. Anything else? You have another question? You have? Yes, please ask.
So I'm gonna read some part from the book called The Introduction to the Bhagavad-Gita.
Yes.
Yeah. My question arises from this part I'm about to read. This part it goes like this. Therefore, the jiva practice is called Therefore, the jiva practice is called superior because the jiva has consciousness which is similar to the Lord. The Lord is supreme consciousness. However, and one should not claim that the jiva, the living entity, is also supremely conscious. The living being cannot be supremely conscious at any stage of his perfection. And the theory that he can be so is a misleading theory. Conscious he may be, but he is not perfectly or supremely conscious. The distinction between the jiva and the isvara will be explained in the 13th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. The Lord is kshetraja, conscious as the living being, but the living being is conscious of his particular body, whereas the Lord is conscious of all bodies, because he lives in the heart of the living being. He is conscious of the psychic movement of the particular jivas. We should not forget this. It is also explained that the Paramatma, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is living in everyone's heart as Isvara, as the controller, and is giving direction for the living entity to act as it desires. So my first question is that, is the Paramatma and the consciousness different or the same?
Paramatma is the Lord in the heart. He is the source of all consciousness. He is absolute consciousness. And Jiva is individual living entity. And this fragmental part of absolute consciousness. Like a ray of the sun or one photon of the sun's light is Jiva, or like spark of great fire. So Jiva can never become supreme. So spark can never become as big as fire from which it sparks out. And the ray of sun can never become a sun. You understand?
Yes.
So this is explained here. But Paramatma, or the Lord in the heart, is absolute. And he resides in everyone's heart. and it's absolute consciousness. Absolute consciousness. He knows everything, present, past, of every living entity, of every single blade of grass.
So yeah, it says that the Paramatma, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is that the Paramatma is giving direction for the living entity to act as he desire. So that means that the Lord is giving me direction now.
Yes, yes. You have your conscious, and He's directing your conscience. You know what is conscience? This is that you know what is good or what is bad in your heart.
Yes, I do.
But as long as we are not purified, then our conscience, or this distinction between good and bad, is going through different filters, and our conception of what is good and what is bad is perverted. So to be able to understand what is absolute good and absolute bad, we should purify our consciousness. And this is achieved by chanting of the Lord's holy names and associating with devotees. And there is no other way. There is no other way. So, to be able to connect with the Lord in the heart, with this super consciousness, absolute consciousness, we should hear about the Lord. Like this, we are talking about the Lord. You should hear about the Lord. You should chant the Lord's names and associate with devotees and eat prasadam, honor prasadam. Yes. And be happy, because this devotional life is very happy. That's why it is said, chant and be happy. Yes, this is the Vedic goal. Sarve sukhino bhavantu. Let all living entities be happy. This is our mission. That everyone should be happy. That's why we sing. That's why we dance. That's why we distribute prasadam. That everyone would be happy. This is our purpose. To be happy ourselves, and that everyone should be happy.
I see.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Any other question? So, time for prasad. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much for all your questions. Hare Krishna.